It's that time of year. The yearly gaming hype train is pulled into the station. And it's a train I'm all aboard, and I'm either bending over to let these companies booty smack my wallet on trailer hype alone, or I'm gonna give it to their rear for coming up with such asinine ideas. It's been a while since I've used the love and hate format, so today I'll be bringing it back to talk about what I loved and hated about each conference at E3. I'll be focusing more on trailers and announcements than the actual conferences themselves, but as we know, the only thing E3 brings more than hype is insurmountable levels of cringe. Peggle 2! Finally, I should mention that I won't cover every single game, merely the ones that interest me from either end of the likability spectrum. Without further ado, here are the 44 things I love or hate about E3 2018. Hate number 1, everything about the Star Wars interview. I don't know if there is a word for this, maybe it is cringe, but the way I felt when watching Respawn lead Vince Stampella stammer on nervously about his pre-alpha title Jedi Fallen Order, I felt vicarious embarrassment. I mean, seriously, Vince, I know they forced you to do this, but you look dead inside.
Oh yeah.
The idea of a single-player Star Wars adventure set during the era between Episode 3 and 4 with a dark tone gets me really fired up. Oh, wait a minute, we already played that. Seriously though, if they can nail it like they did with Titanfall 2, I'm on board. I'm just not in any way jiving with this audience interview with no promotional materials at goddamn E3. Love number 1, Sea of Solitude. I'm a sucker for indie darlings, and there's something that really pulled me into the trailer for Sea of Solitude. The bright colors as a juxtaposition to the dark characters within, and the seemingly sad tale that revolves around depression. I don't know. It's a game that has least found its way onto my radar on the single trailer alone, and that's worthy of a mention. Love number 2, Anthem. I'll probably get flack for this, but since these videos are divided into love or hate, I've gotta lean far in one direction with the title. For me, Anthem showed more to love than to hate. I know this is EA's destiny, and I also know that BioWare has really fallen from grace. I'm not gonna be petty about it though, I'm gonna judge on a case-by-case basis. From what they showed of Anthem, it looks like it could be a fun game to sink some time into with friends. I love the movement because flying is always a blast in games. Hell, I played Superman on Xbox 360 based on that awful Brandon Routh film just so I could fly around the city at high speeds. I also like how they seem to be bringing synergy between the different classes for high-powered combos. There's still a lot of unknown about the game though for a release that's only 8 months away, and I have to admit that the gunplay looked underwhelming, especially when you compare it to Destiny, which most can agree that's the one thing it does very well. Either way, I love for the most part what they showcase, and it has me mildly optimistic about Anthem. Love number 3, Battle Royale coming to Battlefield 5. I'll say this first, if anyone could give an interesting take on a realistic war Battle Royale game at this point, it's DICE with Battlefield. But the reason I'm so excited for this is the same reason I'm excited for Black Ops 4 Battle Royale. I sincerely hope these games help oversaturate the genre and help pull the fad back from the mainstream even just a little bit. Considering the initial success of PUBG and the continued phenomenon that is Fortnite, I'm probably in the minority, but I feel that the hook of Battle Royales don't have a lot of staying power. For disclosure, I put over 200 hours into PUBG, and I certainly enjoyed my time with the game, but after that time I feel like I got my fill of not just PUBG, but the format as a whole. It's just so damn repetitive after that amount of time, and I'm ready to move on to something new and wanting to play games with friends. For the record, I'm personally not a fan of Fortnite's emphasis on building to make up for its less than spectacular gunplay, so it's not really to my taste even if I can respect Epic's efforts with the game. But in the same way that military shooters got shoved so far up my ass I had P90s and noob tubes flowing out of my mouth like projectile vomit in the last generation, I've grown tired of having Battle Royale shoved down my throat in this generation. It's like the Minecraft of the current decade. Everywhere you look on YouTube, Twitch, even real life interactions. Yes, I am dead ass serious. If I tell someone I'm a YouTuber these days when they ask what I do for work, the question is no longer, oh, that's so cool, what kind of content do you create? No. Instead, it's awesome, man. Do you play Fortnite? No, I do not. I'm all for people enjoying Battle Royale, and I don't want to ruin anyone else's fun unnecessarily, but I can't deny that I wouldn't mind them dialing back the popularity to the point that it isn't the predominant trend in gaming for much longer. Overall, EA's conference was classic EA. They showcased their shooters, their sports games, and a few indie games to give you the illusion that they care about originality. Final grade, B+. Hate number 2, the continued emphasis on the tired trio. Halo, Gears, Forza. Since the dawn of the Xbox 360, these have been the mainstays of Microsoft, and over time, Halo and Gears have been sporadic in their consistency, while Forza continues to be dominant as a racing sim. Personally, I don't care much for racing sims, even though I do respect Forza's quality, and I can even respect that the Halo and Gears fan bases are hungry for more of the franchise. Though, maybe not that hungry. But my main point is that I want to see something else big come to the table, bringing me to my next point. Love number 4, Microsoft attempting to turn the corner with exclusives. During the conference, Microsoft announced that they've acquired a handful of new studios to develop games specifically for Xbox. It's unclear what the actual future holds for Microsoft in the console space, with them releasing all of their exclusives on PC as well, but I can at least give credit where credit is due. If I'm gonna complain that they're playing on their withered catalog, I will give them props for investing in the potential of higher quality new exclusive IPs in the future. Hate number 3, Crackdown 3. I love me some Terry Crews, and I thought the original Crackdown was a good old time, back in 2007, and that's exactly what Crackdown 3 looks like, a game from 2007. It genuinely doesn't look to bring anything new or interesting to the table, and it's a shame because I love the concept of an open world multiplayer superhero game. But the gameplay looked uninspired, the graphics were underwhelming, and the story seems to be non-existent. It's not awful, and I'm sure it will be fun to play with friends, but then again, pretty much anything is because spending time with friends is fun. I can speak from experience because I stayed with Destiny 1 for hundreds of hours solely to play with friends while I suffered from Stockholm Syndrome-induced delusions. Even if it could be a little bit of fun, time is valuable and I'd rather spend my time on better looking games. Love number 5, Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I played Ori and the Blind Forest last year, and while I found the combat to leave a lot to be desired, it was extremely enjoyable as a precision-based platformer. All credit is due to Microsoft on that one, and though I'm disappointed we won't know more about the game's release window, I'll be excited whenever it does come around. Love number 6, Cuphead, The Delicious Last Course. I adore Cuphead, and backing studio MDHR is frankly the best thing that Microsoft has done this entire generation. More Cuphead is always welcome, and I love the cheeky title of literal DLC. With this, I can finally address the Cuphead boss rankings in a video. I fell out of interest in making a boss ranking for the game for now, but when this DLC arrives, I'll do a short Automatathon of the entirety of Cuphead, and I'll give you all a boss ranking then. Love number 7, Tunic. Another cute indie game in the form of a sword-toting fox in green garb. You could certainly say this game is inspired by classic Zelda, and you'd be right, but the art style brings something really eye-catching to the table. The combat looks like a ton of fun, and this game is squarely on my list of games to play after this trailer. Love number 8, NieR Automata coming to Xbox. When it comes to first-party studios, I am in support of exclusives. They incentivize console makers to produce high-quality IPs to make their platform more appealing, and we may not get these kind of games otherwise. But when it comes to third-party exclusives, it gets me kinda sad because it feels like a game is being held out from everyone else for less of a good reason. So when NieR Automata was announced for Xbox, I was more than pleased. I'm overjoyed to hear that more people will be playing this masterpiece. In celebration, this is the perfect time for me to announce that I'm wrapping up the Hollow Knight Dematathon on Twitch right now, and once I'm done, I'll be starting a NieR Automata Dematathon in the coming days. I'll be sure to give you guys a heads up on YouTube for the first stream, and of course the Dematathon will be here on YouTube along with a few rankings. Love number 9, Devil May Cry 5. I'll be honest, I know very little about the Devil May Cry series, and I'd like to keep it that way. Not because I don't give a damn, I give a lot of damns. You all have been very vocal about your desire for me to do a Devil May Cry Dematathon and rankings, and I can tell you that with this announcement, that is something you can absolutely expect before release next spring. Love number 10, Kingdom Hearts 3. In the same vein, Kingdom Hearts 3 was finally given a release date that was sadly pushed out of 2018, but not by much. Hilariously enough, the game's release actually lands on my birthday of all times. Count on us doing a Kingdom Hearts Dematathon starting in late fall leading up to this game's release. As for the game itself, I'm hiding from any trailers because I want to go in as spoiler-free as possible, but you better believe I'm amped up. Love number 11, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Check out my full video linked in the description below for my full perspective on Shadows Die Twice, but suffice it to say I'm more than excited for this game's release early next year. Love number 12, Jump Force. I am a massive fucking weeb, and the idea of a cross-anime fighter gets me so hyped I feel like I could go Super Saiyan myself. The concept is great, and hopefully the game turns out that way as well. Love number 13, Cyberpunk 2077. Let's be honest, most of us who've played The Witcher 3 will eat up whatever CD Projekt Red releases next. The Cyberpunk genre is one of my favorite settings for a story or game, so I'm pumped to see what they've got in store for us, though admittedly I'm sad to hear the game still sounds to be very far off. Ultimately, Microsoft's conference was a bonanza of third-party announcements and had a mixed bag of great and not so great exclusives, but I'm happy they're putting an effort toward improving that level of quality for the future. Final grade, A. Love number 14, Rage 2. This is the game nobody asked for, and now suddenly I find myself absurdly excited about. With Wolfenstein and Doom in the last few years, Bethesda has been killing it with first-person shooters. Now we get a shooter with a more wacky vibe to it that looks like it'll be more about making the player powerful, which always ends up being a great time. Love number 15, Doom Eternal and Wolfenstein Youngblood. Speaking of Doom and Wolfenstein, I think everyone who enjoyed Doom 2016 and the recent Wolfensteins is more than happy to hear we've got more Doom and Wolfenstein on the horizon. I know I am. Love number 16, Starfield. Not much to say about this since it's a teaser for a new IP that leaves a lot to the imagination, but I think that's a big part of what there is to love about this trailer. We've all had faith in Bethesda from their quality over the years, so a new IP set around space is very intriguing. Love number 17, Fallout 76. I gotta say, I really did not like Fallout 4. I felt like it abandoned all the RPG and dialogue elements that I love and became a generic action game with little soul. It's such a shame because I adore Fallout 3 in New Vegas. So when Fallout 76 was initially announced before E3, I was less than enthusiastic. But after digesting the thought for a bit and seeing more gameplay, I've decided to be more open-minded. In the way that I scolded the dominance of battle royales, I'm looking for something fresh in the multiplayer arena to come to the table. Maybe that could be Fallout 76, maybe it won't be. But after Fallout 4, if they're not going to return to the form of the previous games, I'm happy they're at least trying something new. Love number 18, Skyrim Very Special Edition. I love Keegan-Michael Key, and this trailer was incredibly self-aware in a way that I'm sure most people enjoyed. It's obviously a marketing stunt to win back good favor of Elder Scrolls fans who've been sold different editions of Skyrim more than we care to count through the power of laughter, and it landed well. Hate number 4, The Elder Scrolls 6. The problem is that it feels like a bait and switch. Bethesda released a trailer, if you want to call it that, for The Elder Scrolls 6. A similar comparison to this is last year we got an announcement from Nintendo on Metroid Prime 4 that was just a title card. The difference with that is that we didn't know Metroid Prime 4 would ever happen. Elder Scrolls 6, on the other hand, was a relative guarantee, so this trailer did nothing other than confirm, hey, you know we're working on this, so we threw together this title card in Microsoft Paint and put it over an overlay of Google Maps panning a camera to get you hype. If anything, this trailer got me anti-hype, because it shows that the game is still terribly far off. So even though I enjoyed the whole comedic bit, I'm completely aware that it was a diversion from the fact this game likely won't see the light of day for years, and I think it's a shame that Bethesda is shafting a lot of people's favorite IP of theirs. On a positive note though, at least the expectation of quality will be high with them spending so much time on it. Here's to hoping the transition is better off than that of Fallout 4. Overall though, Bethesda's conference delivered in a big way, especially for a sole publisher. Final grade, A-. Hate number 5, their entire conference. I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't have anything really positive to say about Ubisoft's conference at all. I don't have anything overwhelmingly negative to say either, it was just so non-polarizing that I found myself bored. It was the first conference I actually got to watch live, and I felt massively whelmed. Beyond Good and Evil 2's gameplay looks pretty rough, but hopefully it'll shape up. The content creation program is neat as long as they properly promote the artists. The Division 2 is a thing that's happening. Rainbow Six Siege is still kicking. This dude came in a fucking motorcycle. Just Dance 2019 made me want to die inside. Assassin's Creed 189 is coming out this year, and Star Fox is being relegated to a side character in a game disguised to get me to buy toys. Final grade, D-. Hate number 6, conference presentation. Look, we'll get into how much I loved what Sony had to show, but first I want to recognize what a shit show this conference was from an organizational and planning standpoint. The idea of having The Last of Us 2 reveal in a spot that would be reminiscent of the game was neat, but it only made a big difference for the handful of people that were there. Everyone watching at home then had to wait for 20 minutes while Sony made all the attendees hike over to their actual venue. In the meantime, we got some awful talk show and trailers for Destiny 2 DLC and Black Ops 4, the games that Sony is still buying content to keep it away from all other players. While I support homegrown exclusivity for the innovation it brings, buying exclusivity is a bullshit practice that I want no part in supporting. That said, I did enjoy the musical performances that happened, even though they aren't really what I watch E3 for, and I do respect the artist's talent. And eventually the show did pick up. Love number 19, The Last of Us Part 2. I'll be honest, I didn't even watch this part of the show because I have zero reason to. I'm 100% sure I'm buying this game day one, as its predecessor is one of my favorite games of all time. So while I've heard the showcase was great, I'm gonna love it at arm's length until the game itself itself is out. Love number 20, Ghosts of Tsushima. Goddamn, does Witcher Samurai Edition look like it's shaping up to be a heavy hitter. The game is probably one of the most gorgeous things I've ever seen. That moment when they are fighting with the maple leaves blowing on the backdrop of the sunset is breathtaking. The game itself has great facial animations to go with these graphics, combat that looks suited to the era, and pretty intriguing with the slowdown animations that remind me of Breath of the Wild, and the setting has me plenty excited. I'm a big fan of Sucker Punch's work, so my eyes are set on this game from day one. Love number 21, Death Stranding. From a gameplay perspective, it's fair to say that this was underwhelming. It really did look like package delivery service the game, but the story and world of this game is so engaging in a supernatural, enigmatic way that it draws me in despite not looking much like a game at all. I'm definitely a sucker for an interesting story, and Death Stranding continues to wow in that department. I just hope it has a great gameplay hook to go along with it. Love number 22, Control. Though they showed very little of the game, a new announcement was welcome at this E3, and Remedy has shown that they're willing to do things a little bit off the wall, which is appropriate considering this looks like Inception the game. Love number 23, Resident Evil 2 Remake. I've never gotten a chance to properly play the franchise, so this would be a great entry point for me to start. Just like with Shadow of the Colossus, it looks like they've completely rebuilt the game from the ground up, and from what I've heard from fans, 2 is one of the best stories in the entire franchise. I don't know if this is something that I would play day one, but it's certainly something that I'll enter into my backlog. Love number 24, Nioh 2. Look, I'm gonna be completely transparent. I tried Nioh 3 different times, and each time I just could not get myself to like that game no matter how hard I tried. Though I enjoy the combat system a lot, I felt everything else about the game, from level design to enemy and boss design to the unexplained systems of the game and more that I could bemoan for longer than I'd care to, turn me off on the experience completely. That said, I never did make it beyond a third of the way in the story in my attempts to play it, so with the arrival of Nioh 2, I'll likely make a Domatathon and make my way through both titles. The reason I'm making this a love is that I want to be open-minded because I really do feel like it's a game I can enjoy if I can get more immersed in the experience and understand the game's structure better. I pray the 4th time's a charm. Love number 25, Spider-Man. Yet another part of the conference I decided not to watch. I am a huge fan of the Batman Arkham game, so I'm happy to see they've adapted that combat style. I also absolutely adore open world superhero games, so I'm hoping this will be a true return to form for Spidey after years of lackluster titles. Hate number 7, lack of release dates. Even though we got surprises with Resident Evil 2 Remake, Nioh 2, and Control, this conference was centered around 4 of Sony's big titles: The Last of Us Part 2, Ghosts of Tsushima, Death Stranding, and Spider-Man. One of those already had a release date in Spider-Man, but the other 3 have had showings at E3 for 2 to 3 years running now and are still absent of even a release window. Admittedly, fall 2018 to spring 2019 is currently looking overloaded as it is, but even if just one of the games had a coming holiday 2019 or something along those lines, it would have been enough for me. Even so, they all look phenomenal, and that's the reason I'm chomping at the bit for them to get closer to being in my hands. Overall, Sony's conference itself was a terrible presentation. Even putting aside their horrendous talk show in the intermission that was completely avoidable, they kept splicing in random kitschy games that didn't match the tone of their big titles at all. Like seriously, is that a fucking banana minion? Hilariously, this was meant to promote Dreams, which they ignored completely. That said, the games speak for themselves, and I'm an advocate of quality over quantity. Final grade, B+. Love number 26, Daemon X Machina. With From Software not giving any information about an upcoming Armored Core, mech fans are hungry for something new. Nintendo opened their conference with a bang that showcased a new mech IP that looks like it could be exhilarating. Even if Nintendo's IPs don't always appeal to me personally, I can always appreciate the level of quality they bring to the table, and I'm excited to hear a lot more about this title in the future. Love number 27, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Gimme your balls, Reggie! I've been waiting since the dawn of Pokemon to finally see a Pokemon game on a home console, and we're finally getting it with these 2 games in 2018 and a new core title in 2019. Pokemon Go was certainly a fad, but it was incredibly fun during its heyday, and I wouldn't mind going back to it for a bit more fun to coincide with these games. While I'm much more excited for what's coming in 2019, as long as these games aren't hindering the development of that title, I think it's a fine move on Nintendo's part and could be pretty fun. Love number 28, Super Mario Party. I can't wait to dick over everyone I love and end all of our friendships. I fell off Mario Party after the GameCube era when they started adding microphones, cars, and a bunch of other unnecessary garbage. It's really great to see them going back to their roots with a modern take on classic Mario Party. Hate number 8, Fire Emblem Presentation. Let me be clear that I love Fire Emblem, and from everything shown, I'm pretty damn excited for Three Houses on the whole. But this is a pre-rendered conference, and the trailer was regularly chugging at embarrassing frame rates. It's hard to believe that they would let this footage go into a pre-prepared showcase unless they couldn't get it running any better on the Switch hardware. I'm hopeful that they'll iron out whatever issues there are eventually, but if there's even a chance that the game drops frames like this when it releases, it would be very difficult to enjoy. Hate number 9, Fortnite on the go. I can't escape. I can't escape this fucking game! Love number 29, Hollow Knight, available today on Switch. I've been loving my recent Dematathon of Hollow Knight, and I'm so happy more people will get the chance to play this delightful game. I also love when they do same-day announcements at E3, so this is a great treat. It also means we should get more information on the upcoming DLC sometime in the future, so consider me pumped up. Love number 30, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Fucking everybody. It's Super Smash Bros. Fucking Everybody Edition. Your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your grandmother, and her cat. Fucking everybody is playable, and everyone's gonna be playing this game when it comes released on December 7th this year. The presentation was absurdly clean and let casual fans and hardcore veterans have a great idea of what to expect. I have to say that while it was clearly the primary focus of their conference, this was the best segment of the entirety of E3 with its clean editing, showcasing all the changes, characters, and teasing new exciting things for longtime fans. I think it shows how well Nintendo's pre-prepared format can be over conferences where they are dealing with crowds, doing odd cringy presentations that suffer from the nature of live performances, and it also keeps the downtime to a minimum. There's every character from all the Smash games, GameCube controllers, a new dodging system that likens to wave dashing, Inkling from Splatoon, Ridley memes finally coming to life. This was the best showing out of all of E3, but it doesn't mean Nintendo's conference was perfect. Hate number 10, where was Bayonetta 3 and Metroid Prime 4? I would say you could argue this conference was meant to be focused on things coming out this year, but then why did they tease Daemon X Machina and Fire Emblem 3 Houses for 2019 and then completely ignore Bayonetta 3 and Metroid Prime 4? If these games are still deep in development and you didn't have anything to show, perhaps it would have been better to hold off teasing these games until more was ready. Though in fairness to these games, unlike Elder Scrolls 6, we did not know for sure if they were going to be getting sequels, so knowing for a fact they do exist does have value. It's just a shame we didn't see more of them this year. I gotta say, I really did not like the Wii and motion controls, and Nintendo further lost me with the Wii U and its stupid tablet. I loved my N64 and GameCube growing up, so I was really waiting for Nintendo to return to form. I think they've taken quite a leap in the first year of the Switch, and what they've showcased has me excited for year 2 and certainly optimistic about the future. When my only complaint is that they didn't show 2 games I'm super excited for that I know I'll be getting eventually, it's hard to say that Nintendo didn't have the best showing this year. Final grade, A+. Love number 31, Code Vein. Look, I know everyone is dubbing this game Anime Souls, and Bandai Namco's cheeky prepare to die marketing scheme really didn't help with matters. Even if this game is gonna lend some elements from the Souls series, I'm gonna be open-minded just as I was with Nioh. You can expect me to play this when it releases in September. Love number 32, Spyro Reignited Trilogy. This was announced quite some time before E3, but I have no idea when else I'd talk about it, so here we go. If I could pick one memorable game series out of my childhood other than Crash Bandicoot, it would be Spyro the Dragon. So as you can imagine, this has been quite the roller coaster this last year with both original trilogies seeing such a revitalization. I am so damn excited for this game, and I think a Dematathon and rankings would be a ton of fun in September alongside Code Vein in the later part of the month. Hate number 11, where was Final Fantasy VII Remake? If there is one game that I can think of that was notably absent, it would be Final Fantasy VII Remake. I can understand that Square Enix likely wants to have Kingdom Hearts 3 front and center now that it's finally happening, but that game was announced 3 years ago. I think it's completely fair to expect some kind of update, so it was seriously disappointing to see it not make an appearance. Hate number 12, where on earth is Rocksteady? It's been a few years now since the release of Batman Arkham Knight, and whatever Rocksteady has been working on is still under wraps. I love the Arkham franchise more than I can say. In fact, there's a decent chance I do a Batman Arkham Dematathon after NieR Automata leading up to the new Spider-Man, but I'll let you guys vote on that sometime in the future. Back to the point, I'm sure if they weren't here, they simply weren't ready to show their work, but the longer the wait is, the more the expectation grows. At least they didn't drop a random ass teaser like Bethesda did for Elder Scrolls 6, but honestly, it could have worked for them if it was a new IP that no one was expecting. This year's E3 was actually pretty incredible overall. Even though EA and Ubisoft had lackluster showings, all of the major console makers came to play, and Bethesda stepped up to the same caliber that they did. I feel like there's no possible way I'm gonna have time to play all the games coming out over the next year. I'm sure you heard me throwing out ideas for random Dematathons over the course of the video, and that's merely because of how excited this all makes me. I love getting an opportunity to play and cover new games with you all, and I think that'll be a central part of the channel moving forward with our playthroughs and accompanying rankings. Hopefully you're as excited for all of that as you are for the coming games we're all pining after. What games got you super amped at this year's E3? Tell me in the comments below. We're currently wrapping up our Hollow Knight Dematathon on Twitch, so expect rankings for that alongside the Souls Remastered rankings in the coming weeks. And of course, we'll be starting the NieR Automata Dematathon very soon. Be sure to subscribe for all of those videos and more, and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. It means a lot to me to know you're enjoying the content. Thank you all for watching today, much love to you, and I'll see you in the next video.